Alright, what's up everybody? I'm Rashmini. Let's get growing here. This video is going to be about lighting and aquaponics. As you can see behind me, I'm using a 4-foot 4-light T8 shop light fixture. I think they retail at $50 at Home Depot or on Amazon by Lithuania Lighting. Right now I got 4 cool white 32 watt T8 bulbs in there, and that's pretty much all you need. You can see that's not the best example, but if you can see these bad boys. Ooh, look at that. Oh. Heavy. It does exceptionally well. Leafy greens don't need much more than a T8 bulb running 12 hours a day. If you got herbs, if you got something that you really think needs more light, then you can bump it up to 18 hours a day. But all you need is a shop light. And what you should know too, though, and I just made the cardinal sin, is don't ever get water on top of the lights. Most commercial lighting is not made to be not designed for humid environments. It's not waterproof. Sometimes when you buy hydroponic lights, they can be. I did find on Amazon though a 4-foot 4-bulb T5 fixture. They're called high output T5s, HOT5, and they're just thinner than the T8 bulbs I'm using. The larger the bulb number, the larger the bulb. So T5s are smaller, and they put out 54 watts each. So under that, you can grow anything you want, fruits and flowers even. But keep about a foot between the canopy height and your plants, and you'll be fine. The T8 and whatever the wattage of the bulb is going to be correlate directly with the heat output of the bulb. So I got 4 times 32 watts. Was that 128 watts at any given time? Versus if I had a 54 watt bulbs in there, it'd be 256 watts, and so twice the heat almost. But that's pretty much all you need. And then as long as the top has some airflow over it, you should be fine as far as heating. In a certain cramped environments with too much wattage out of the bulb and not enough distance between the canopy and the bulb, you're going to get heat at the canopy. But you'll be fine with this arrangement. So just be careful. As long as you keep it about a foot away, you'll be fine. And if you're going to T5 territory, the 54 watt high output T5s, you're going to want to get some cooling involved or some fans probably, but you don't need that for an aquaponics system. This is more than enough. And the bulbs are about $250 each. If you buy them online, you can get 4 for $10. And they'll last you easily a year without any meaningful diminishment in output. But about at 18 months, they're going to start waving in their output. And so at 24 months, you're going to notice a significant decrease in the heat in the output of the light. The tricky thing about lights in general, grow lights, is that from a biological standpoint, the output or the meaningful output of any light is measured in photons per square centimeter per second, and I think that's called, it's like, yeah, micromoles per second. And so no matter what kind of bulb you have, no matter the distance, the thing that matters is how many photons per second are hitting a square inch of or square centimeter of your canopy. And so obviously if you have your light closer, more photons. If your light is more powerful, you'll have more photons. The hard part is the manufacturers, they don't have an agreement and a standard across it. So you'll see a lot of X watt equivalent in LEDs. This LED bulb only draws 18 watts, but it's a 32 watt equivalent. Well, that's just some marketing for the human user. It's not meant for plants. And hey, give me that thumbs up back. How dare you take away my thumbs up? And so you got to be careful about that. LEDs are tricky, especially because of that fact. There's no standardization across all these different LED providers. And so people are trying to differentiate themselves. They'll say this is a, you see a lot of blue and red, and they'll tell you you're saving energy, you're only giving what the plant needs. I think that's technically true according to current science, but it smells more like a marketing gimmick to me than anything else. And just because you jack up the plant's um, photoreceptors with the two wavelengths that it predominantly absorbs doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a healthier plant. I haven't seen a mineral content in relation to light frequency chart, so growth is one thing and another. Um, but nutritional quality is another. Uh, Light spread is another important factor because LED makers will sell these bars that shoot straight down, and so you need to get an even light across your canopy, have multiple bars higher up versus one bar that if it just pointed wide angle like that. So the reflectors are really good on that to get more light to your canopy. But even still, you see my plants are. You can see they're kind of growing towards the center of the light like that, which is okay, but noticeable. My herbs are doing good, and everything else is fine under the T5. I'm going to let them grow up to maturity. These have been in here 10 days now, so they're not. Oh, well, I should tell you, this is what happens when your light cycle is inadequate. You'll get this, what's called stretching. I just bent that one. And so these plants, you see the ratio of leaf surface area to stem length is seemed wrong, and that's because it is. These plants stretched because they didn't get the light they needed in the critical stage of their development, and so they put all their energy to what they think is leaving the soil to get access to the light. They're stretching, 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 looking for the light, and then as soon as they hit the light, they'll start developing their leaves surface area to take in more of that light. So if you don't hit them with light when they're, as soon as they have any mass showing out of their seeds, they're going to start stretching a little bit. And that'll just, if you're growing these for any purpose, eating, commercial purpose, anything, you're going to get less weight out of your leaf, out of your harvest, because the energy went into growing the stem and not the leaves. So as soon as you see your seeds have any mass showing, you can put light on them. And you can start that at 18 hours a day if you want and really push them to grow. So lighting changes alongside the growth cycle too. So during germination, no light needed. During the seedling phase, which is roughly the first week or 14 days roughly, they can get 18 hours of light, and then typically leafy greens will want 12 hours of light and 12 hours off. And you have to think about the more growth the plant's experiencing, the more in an herb, they have thicker stems, they have more oils being produced. That all takes energy. That all takes more energy than just leaf production. And then when you get to, so they need more light, which doesn't always mean longer hours, but more intensity. And then when you get into flowering and fruiting, they need even more light. And that's why cannabis growers, for instance, have these giant, expensive hot lights, because they're inducing flowers and fruit from the plants, and that takes a lot of energy. That's also why growing apples indoors doesn't make sense, because it's so much light. You need to do that, and that's why it's more reserved for outdoors. So I would stay away from LEDs. Try the LED bars. Maybe that might be good for you, but the price is pretty hard to justify right now, and the cost savings at home isn't meaningful until you get multiple light fixtures anyway. And you're never going to know how it grows until you try it, because if you get an agriculture light for growing food, it's going to be so expensive, because R&D and marketing and the cannabis industry is just overinflated. And then if you get a similar product just meant for something else, so you use it for growing food, you don't know what the variance, you don't know how it's going to perform. So just make sure you test your LED lights, and don't use induction bulbs or any other crazy stuff. It's not that complicated. T5s and T8s will cover 99% of your aquaponic grows. All right. It's a long-winded way to get to that, I guess. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. I'm Amini. Talk to you soon.